Hi, it's Charlie again. I am working on my next signature for my album featuring Stamperia's Magic Forest collection. And I am trying to do just something a little bit different. I'd like to start with the inside because that's where the build has got to start pretty much anyway. So in here, this is obviously still the same size. I've got 9 1/4 this way, 9 1/2 this way. I wasn't real enamored with this piece. I don't know why. It reminds me of one of those wrought iron, if I'm saying the word right, gates. Very heavy, very bulky. And how could I make this for me work in this album? Well, I got to looking at my scraps, and she was on the back side of one of the long pieces. So what I've decided to do is to take her and actually make her into a pocket. And this color combination with this, for me, now comes together. So that's what I've done. If you're following along, you can use whatever pieces you want to make. Now, the next piece that's going to come in here is this piece. Let's start underside. I cut a 12 by 12 sheet. I wanted this image, so it will be on the inside of this panel. And then this piece here is what's left over from a cut that I did off of over here. So this was what was remaining, and I wanted to use this piece in here. And this page here that has the big door on it and then has the griffin, I cut to fit actually this image, and then took this to make my piece over here that this will actually, with magnets, connect into, which I haven't put on. Darn, I'll do that in front of you, which means I'm going to probably make mistakes with them. But this is the piece I cut out. What I did was I traced this line. There's a gray edge here, and I traced around the gray line and across the bottom, scored through here, and then cut this so that there was kind of a blend of color. And then she's going to come in and rest right down here at the bottom. I'm not going to worry about the magnet showing here. This magnet's going to go on underneath this piece when I get there. And then I've got a couple of pockets I'll work on, but we'll get to those as we go through the page for the album. So let's take a look at this one, because there's only one and it will go to the right side. That's providing you're using this image. If you're using something else, then you can certainly put this wherever you want it, but I'm going to put it on the right side. I don't want it to go to waste. This measured in at 7 1/8. I scored it at a 1/2 inch, and then I scored it at 5/8 of an inch. So that's going to go in right here. And this is where I, again, having cut the corners in the big pages in the album, I'm having to round these corners here. First, I'm going to lay her, put her in. I'm just going to peel these off real quick. Come in here and set her in. Looks like she's peeking around a corner. Where did my burnish tool disappear to? Oh, there it is. Get some stuff out of the way here. So, you know, maybe she's gotten into the castle and she's kind of peeking back at you. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get this on. Now, I'm going to come right up to the 1/2 inch score line. And peel this off. Turn it over, and then I'm going to push back on the 5/8 score line, and I'm going to give it a good score. I want that score to stand up as best as possible. There we go. Got hung up on that corner cut. Boy, I really, really, truly regret having done that little 3 a.m. inspiration. That was not a good thing, but I'm making it work. Okay, so this is the piece that's going to lie in right here. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to zip through. I thought about using this piece, but I'm using a chipboard element that was just way too much across the bottom. Set this in here. Now what I'm putting here is hiding here somewhere. Oh, I got it in my hand. This chipboard element. I'm going to put it down here, and I am going to just run some tape here. So even though it's a bit bulky, still use it as a tuck, and you still have room here for a photo if you wish. So I'm going to come down from that sharp angle, and then I'm going to come across. Sorry, I'm picking with my fingernails rather than using my pick tool. Just one of those moods today. Okay, come in about 1/4 inch, top to bottom. Push this down, and then you have a nice little tuck that you can put things in, and then still have room here for a photo. Now let's go ahead and let's set the piece over here. I didn't set my magnets. I like to try to do that beforehand, so I apologize if I kind of slightly did a pause there. My brain did a squirrel. I'm trying to remember my elements here so I can put the magnets where they need to be. So this piece going to come in under here, and this is what's going to come up here. I want to put this on. Okay, so putting this on, and I need to be able to take up this 1/8 inch gusset. I'm going to wrap the 1/4 inch gusset that I made on this page up and around. Too far forward. Okay, now what I want to do before I get too carried away here, magnets. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. All right, I want to put them here. So I'm going to put one here. And one. These are such tall pages, and it's heavy cardstock, beautiful, nice weighted pattern paper that I want to use too, so that the page doesn't start to warp because you're only using one magnet. Okay, so they have found their mates. Now I'm going to take some tape. Put them on here. Garbage. Now, before I push down, I want to make sure that my gussets are all setting up the way they are supposed to be setting up. And that my pages are even. That one's too far forward. Give it a little slide and they'll separate. I'll save those for the next time I have to put something on. So I am going to put this one on now. So when I need to close this, I can and not have the magnets try and pull each other apart. I know you're going to ask. Yes, they are made in China. I got these off of Amazon. The dimensions, it says here that it's MB and then it's 10 by 2 space 12 OP. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if this code is of any value, but these came in the box. It's X0021C9BFT. Now, they're labeled as heavy-duty magnets on Amazon. And the first time I bought them, I was a little bit hesitant because I don't like buying stuff that I can't touch and feel sometimes. But I've been very pleased with them. They're a 1/2 inch across, and they're maybe 1/16 in height, but they are some very strong magnets. About $40 to get, how many did I get in this? I think it's 120 pieces. I think that's what that stands for, is 120 pieces. It's quite a few, actually. I'm just going to trust myself, take all of this off. So I'm going to come down here. Blast it. Blast it. See, I got it too low. I've got too much down there and I don't have enough down here. I keep reinforcing my reasoning for only taking apart one piece of tape at a time, just so that I don't have to do surgery on my page. All right, let's try this again. I think I'm going to do it from this angle so I can see the two straight edges and I can balance my piece. Oops. Get back in there. From top to bottom evenly. Much nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and finish putting this piece on. So that this side's done. Well, almost done. And then I'm using this card to create a tuck, and I'm just going to kind of put her in here at a slant. And then I am going to go ahead and glue in this piece. I'm looking to see if I inked. This is such a beautiful paper. It's got wonderful texture. But my eyeball focuses in on that white core every single time. So I like to ink around my edges, but it also adds another depth to the page or to the paper. Okay, that one's done, and I'm leaving this alone. I'm not putting anything on that. And then I used this piece and this piece were one 12 by 12 sheet that when I cut to this, I utilized that as my I didn't want the paper to go to waste is what I'm trying to say. So I used that to make the flap on the opposing side. Now I'm going to run a piece down the center because it's quite big and I want to get it put into the flap right so I don't have to do surgery. So this is going to go up here like this. I have way too much excess, so if you'll bear with me. If it was just one corner, I'd be fine with it. I could just tuck it behind, but if I've got all four corners are looking funky, I'm going to just trim around it. All right, now I'm snuggling right up to that 3/4 score line. Now I'm going to take these off. And I'll take this off. And that edge can go down. Now here, I'm using one of the cutout cards. I've tore my paper with the washi tape, but like I said, it's my album, no big deal. Made a little decorative edge there, and I'm gonna tape it on two sides and it will become a tuck. Still leaving plenty of room for photos or other embellishments. Come in about 1/4 of an inch, up about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to set it in there, and then you have a nice little tuck. Okay, so now that's done. Closes nice and sharp. Now we get to play with this. So like I said early on, there is, or was because I've inked it, there is a gray, it's this piece, gray edge all the way around, and then it came down across the bottom, and once I got that cut, I put this on a score line and I scored this edge so that this opens up. I know, I forgot to round these corners. Now, this little doodad here, which is my door pole, was from a bunch of little trinkets like this that I got from, oh gosh, Frank Garcia, Prima. That it was a particular collection that they had, and she was into a lot of these. There were nuts and bolts and screws, and I'm using one of those as the pole for the door. That makes sense. I'm pretty sure that that's where I got, maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying to think of, okay, so I'm going to put that there. I'm just going to gently take this off. My page is where I want it to be. All right, now I've not done this before, so I'm going to kind of come in here and put in a couple of pencil lines so I know where it goes. And then I'm going to glue it in. And I know I'm going to regret this if I don't place it the right way, because this art glitter glue dries so fast. So I know that's my edge. I'm going to slide this back in here real quick. See, I have it too low. Put this back in here. Ah, looks good right there. Now I am going to go ahead and put her on because her base is a little bit wider than the actual opening on the door. So I don't want to have to try and tuck her in underneath, and I'm also going to tape around that edge. These are so pretty. I don't know what they use to give this coppery finish. All right, so I'm going to run tape right down one side of the door. I'm going to run tape along the bottom of the door because these are weak points that I don't want pulling up when the door gets opened. So how this is at an arch, so we're going to just play curl the tape. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and tape the rest of this. It's kind of silly, really, to now use glue on the remaining pieces. Okay. That's just pretty just all by itself if it were for all that brown. The rest of it I can deal with. Okay, so I'm going to set this back in here. All right, this is going to be a challenge. I'm going to sneak in there. I'm going to put this all on, and then I'm going to sneak in on the inside and take the tape out. At least this way I could perform surgery if it doesn't work. I call it surgery because I'm having to take apart and mend what I did. Oh, that didn't lay right. This is buckling right here, and it shouldn't be doing that. Come on, I did not push that hard on you, so come on. There we go. It just had a little buckle in it. All right, now. This is going to be interesting. How am I going to do this? Let's start with this piece because I can sort of see it. Some of the things I get myself into. So far, so good. Now it's just this last strip. If I can feel where it is. There it is. There. Beautiful. Make sure there's nothing I have forgotten. I think I'm good to go. So I'll put tape around the outside. Where's my edge? There it is. And I'm going to put this in. And it will sit just like this. I'm going to turn it. My gusset's laying flat, you see that? So that means I did not put it in here the right way, and I won't accept that. So I'm going to take this apart. Now I know that gusset's laying straight, so I'm just going to stand this up and I'm going to lay this, wrap it around it with this gusset flat. And because I'm ready to put this in, and that tape has not dried, I'm going to add an extra layer right here. To kind of hold that in place. And now my gusset's laying the way it should. Make sure my images are going the correct way. I'm just going to trim these corners down just a hair so that they're not going beyond the corners of the page. And then I'm going to make sure that top to bottom that this is laying in nice and level. Oh, God, I scared myself. Jiminies. Thinking I did something wrong there. All right, so now I'm going to come in here. Take off this piece, make sure that my gusset is laying nice and straight. Excuse me, I'm going to lift this up here just a little bit so I can flatten this out so I can see what I am doing here. Now this last piece, same thing. There's a nice gusset here. I want it to stand up, not fold over or buckle. And there we go. And what I do want to come back and revisit is we've got these big pockets in here. So I have caught a piece of cardstock that is roughly 9¼ inches across by 9 3/8 in height. I've covered one side completely so that there's some nice backdrop for photos. And then I took from my scraps, oh, I have a tear. Oh, I know how I did. Gosh, I'm so mad at myself. And then I used one of the scrap pieces just as a trim, because when you put this in here, you're going to see the other side, and I didn't want it to be just blank cardstock. But what I was trying to use were these cute little paper clips that I have, and they weren't strong enough to do what I wanted, and I can see that when I removed it, I tore that, but it is what it is. I can't help it. All right, so this is in here. We're done. I'm going to make another card to put in here. I don't think that's anything you need to watch me for. It's 9 by 9 3/8. Cover it if you wish, or just run a trim along the edge. I'll see you on the next signature.